Welcome into Jets Nation Radio, episode 8. I'm your host, Angus Hout. To my podcast left, still no one. Why? Well, because still haven't found a co-host or guest host, but those days will be coming soon. I promise that there, my friend. You won't have to hear my incoherent ramblings anymore. I am recording on Sunday night, so if things seem a little bit weird, that's why. The reason why? Well, my weekend is Monday and Tuesday at my regular job, my 9 to 5, and this weekend I'm going from Dauphin down to Winnipeg to go hang out with my girlfriend, and we're going to do cute date stuff. So, yeah, recording Sunday evening. I recorded earlier in the afternoon at my own place, but that one was a trash podcast. So you get a podcast that's recorded at my actual studio that I work at 730 CKDM. That's my other job. If you were ever curious, that's what I do. Is I'm a radio guy. So now you know. So getting into this week's episode, the big question of the week: should NHL or AHL Twitter rip on other teams' players that are playing poorly throughout the game? This question is being asked. Why? Well, Cole Caulfield is down in the AHL playing for the Laval Rockets. That's Montreal's farm team. They are playing the Utica Rockets, which is the Vancouver Canucks farm team. So they both play together. Caulfield's down there. He wasn't having a great game when they were playing Utica, and the Twitter person for Utica was like, "Hey, where are you at, Cole Caulfield?" And people were like, "Hey, Twitter shouldn't do that. Twitter's supposed to be a nice place." If you know anything about Twitter, it's not the world's best place. But just asking where he's at. And Cole Caulfield responded to a question a couple of days later. Did you talk to the commissioner of the AHL? He answered, "No, I didn't talk to that guy." And then carried on with that interview and saying, quote, "In the future, I hope they, Twitter people, stay away from that sort of thing. They're people too. That's all I really have to say. It really doesn't bother me that much." Sorry, let's start that quote properly. I kind of read it and kind of let it go. It's not something I care for. In the future, I hope they stay away from that sort of thing. They're people too. That's all I have to say. So, kind of a mature response from Caulfield. I like that. But personally, I think that having a little bit of animosity between teams over Twitter is kind of fun. And it doesn't have to be mean or belligerent, but asking where a player is during a game, it's a little bit of fun. It's kind of the lowest hanging fruit that you can possibly pick, but away she goes. So that's going to happen. No big deal. No one can be really that. I don't think anyone should be upset about that. And in fact, I think Twitter beef is good. Look at the Montreal Canadiens and Carolina Hurricanes over the summer, getting into a stupid Twitter battle, and just for Kasperi Kapanen. I'm trying my best with these names. I'm brutal half the time. Better than John Scott. Haha, take that, John Scott. I hope you don't beat me up because you're way bigger than me. But either way, you look at Twitter battles like that. I think that stuff's kind of fun. You look at Brian Burke and the Oilers GM Kevin Lowe. I think that was 2009, where Brian Burke threatened to fight Lowe in a barn. You need to look that story up. It's hilarious. They have like a Berkey story from Sportsnet about that somewhere on YouTube. You gotta look it up. Fantastic story. And I think that stuff brings a lot of fun to the NHL. And it's like, yeah, I actually hate this team because of their Twitter, because they ripped on my guy. Now, obviously, I don't want, a Jets Twitter person being like, "Mark Scheifele, where are you at?" No. I don't want that. But if Minnesota's person was like, "Mark Scheifele's been missing the net all night, hasn't made a hit, he's a trash player," that's going to make me hate Minnesota more. It's going to bring in more rivalries. It's just a good time. That's my personal opinion about it. I know other people are like, "Yeah, no, gotta be nice on Twitter." And it's like, it's hockey. Yeah, I don't think you should be like, "I need to kill a certain player," because that's garbage. That's a trash thing, and that should not be allowed. Like anything that you're gonna harm a player or harm a player's family, that's a trash way to look at things. But if you're like, "Whew, Nathan McKinnon, where's your healthy snacks? That's fine. I think that's totally fun because you're just like, you're ripping on something that's a known fact. And you might not be friends with these NHLers, but, it's one of those things. It's lots of fun. I like doing that kind of stuff. So that's my personal opinion. And honestly, I think to get more money for the NHL, you got to have beef. You look at rap of the 90s. Yeah, you lost Biggie and Tupac to gun violence, RIP. But it propelled rap into the mainstream. It took it to another level. And I think having beef in the NHL where it's like, yeah, I hate with a passion this Twitter page because the St. Louis Blues are just hurting my feelings. Good. I hope they light you up. I hope they light your team up. I love that kind of stuff. Beef makes sales. That's all I'll say about that. So, yeah. Be kind about it, but don't be belligerent about it. I think one of the best ways we could do this is send gifts to the other team when the Jets score. So, so if the Oilers are playing the Jets on Tuesday and Thursday this week, I think every time the Jets score, even if it's a 7-1 blowout by the Oilers and the Jets just get one, we send out a gift, be like, heck yeah, suck it, we're the best. We scored 1 goal. We beat Mikko Koskinen or Stuart Skinner. That kind of stuff. It's lots of fun. So Tuesday and Thursday night, and even Friday or Saturday, whenever the Jets are playing Vancouver, chirp Oilers Nation, chirp Canucks Army, stuff like that, and even tag the actual team. Or if you have a friend that is a avid follower of a team, tag them in something on Twitter or Instagram. Just poke a little bit of fun. There's good ways to do this, and there's bad ways to do it. Just don't be belligerent. That's all I can say. Okay, so moving on to the Jets. I'm going to go back and forth between the Jets and the NHL on this podcast. The Jets need to start looking at the future. There are, I believe, 7. It looks like 7 I've written down. People that are guys that are going to need new contracts for the Jets coming up next season. Fantastic. The only thing is there's no money. So who needs to be re-signed? Andrew Copp. He's going to want a bigger contract, and he definitely deserves it the way he's been playing. Pierre-Luc Dubois definitely deserves a big paycheck. You can't not like that guy. Harkins, he's gonna get a bridge deal, I think. Vasalainen, he's Christian Vasalainen. He's gonna get another bridge extension. Svechnikov, I think he's gonna get $2.5 million the way he's playing. Beaulieu, he's the only defenseman that's up for a contract. I don't see him getting another one with the Jets, or a very small one at the least. And Eric Comrie, I know he's only played 4 games, but he's won 3 out of the 4 of them, has a stupid good save percentage, and he's probably going to get some decent money, $2 to $3 million next season, if he doesn't play behind Connor Hellebuck. So, the Jets need to find money, and the way that they're going to do that, I think they need to move on from Blake Wheeler. As a newer fan, I know I look bad for saying that, but it just as a business thing, I know it's bad culture to get rid of your captain, but if your captain's banged up a lot of the time and he's not contributing a whole lot, I think it's time to move on from him. I like Wheeler. I love the game he plays, but $8.5 million, 10% of the salary cap to one guy that's in his mid-30s, that's a joke. And I like Wheeler, like his game, not $8.5 million. So it's either they trade him and just hope there's somebody out there that needs a good guy in the locker room, Ottawa Senators, and they just trade draft picks for him and get some bozos who they can move on from pretty quickly, or they have to send him off to waivers and kill his contract, which sucks. I know it's not ideal, and then we have the salary cap issue and all of that jazz, but I think it's in order for the Jets to continue to at least make a playoff push and a Stanley Cup push, they have to cut Wheeler. It's a business thing if the Jets legitimately want to win. If they want to have a culture thing going on in their locker room, then keep Wheeler. But for right now, that's all I have to say is Wheeler has to go, and that's the only way the money is going to work. I know Stastny probably isn't going to get re-signed, so that clears up about I think it's $3 million. I don't have the numbers right in front of me. So Stastny, $3 million, that money is going to go straight to Pierre-Luc Dubois, or most of it to PLD, and then the rest to Copp, and then where else are you going to find this money? So unfortunately, I think if the Jets are smart, this is the final season with Blake Wheeler. Otherwise, the Jets are going to be a basement team. Like, yeah, the Moose are doing all right, but I'm not moving many of those guys up to take over for PLD, Copp, or Harkins, or Vasilinen. Like, that just doesn't make sense. So it's time for the Jets to move on from Blake Wheeler. That simple. Okay, back to the NHL topics. We're going to go with two of those. Actually, I lied, just one of them. Should the NHL enforce the dress code? So earlier in the season, the Toronto Maple Leafs said that they could do things as like business casual, super nonchalant, whatever. And they killed that program last week. I think that's dumb. Let NHLers have their style. Look at Cam Newton. That guy is just has an aura around him. You love to see him dressed up a little bit fun. If you look at, again, take a shot for every time I mention McDavid, because the Oilers fandom's still alive in me, although Jets over Oilers at this point. But either way, McDavid had this fun suit in his rookie year before he was playing with the Oilers. It was just like a comic book suit. It just said pow and bang and just like old 1950s kind of comic book stuff. I think that sort of stuff is fun. It shows a little bit of personality. And if they want to dress business casual, great. If they've got their own company that they're running, then yeah, they should be able to promote that. They're superstars, or they're NHLers. They should be able to should be allowed to advertise something that they're doing. It's not bad. And being in a suit all the time, culture's changed, man. And I don't think the NHL needs to be an old boys club that constantly looks professional all the time. Yeah, I don't want somebody just walking in wearing an Adidas t-shirt and really like, yeah, we're good to go. But business casual, or like just look fun. I mean, like, I'm wearing a sweater and a toque. I think that would be perfectly acceptable as business culture. I mean, one of my bosses, Jay Downton, great follow on Twitter. You got to follow him. I love him because listening to him talk, he's just like, yeah, I don't wear business suits when I go into big meetings. And like, this dude is doing like CEO meetings, and like, he's no joke. Just rolls in wearing a Nation Gear sweater, which you should definitely buy some Nation Gear, nationgear.com, and just rolls in wearing his Nation Gear to like Disney CEO businesses. And it is like, what? So yeah, why do millionaire hockey players need to be dressed up if my boss, who is owning a blogging sites showing up to big business meetings looking super nonchalant? So that's the way I look at it. I mean, you look at me, you know I'm not always trying to dress the sharpest. Sometimes I do, but not all the time. So, I don't know. I think the dress code needs to be lightened up in the NHL. You can settle down there, old boys club. Looking at you, Lou Lamoriello. Not letting guys have beards until the playoffs. Shake my head at you. All right. This is a question I've been thinking about for a little while here. Who is the Jets' big celebrity pull? And racking my brain. The only person I could think of that's a legitimate celebrity that was famous not because they were a Jets fan is Don Amaro, the Manitoba country music guy. He won an award with the Manitoba Country Music Awards last weekend, so congrats to you there, Don. But he's the only one I can think of, legitimately, and if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me. But I think the Jets need to do something about that. They need to have like a celebrity. Look at the Leafs. They've got Justin Bieber. Rangers, Jimmy Fallon, Margot Robbie, a couple people like that. So like, there's fans all over the place, and it's like, hey, we got the Grey Cup in here, or we got Don Amaro to sing our national anthem. It's like, cool. Calgary can get George Canyon, and Edmonton can get Brett Kissel. So, yeah, we're really doing great promoting country artists, but if that's all we're doing, pretty lame. So the one idea that I do have for the Jets organization, and if you guys want to steal this idea, it's totally free, but just throw me in a little comment and be like, yeah, this guy Angus thought of this idea. And it's just, whenever there's a movie production in Winnipeg, try to give tickets to the big celebrity of that movie. It might be the difference between Winnipeg being like, oh yeah, that's a city, to, yeah, the Jets, and I'm using Liam Neeson as the example because he's the last big star I can remember in Winnipeg for that ice trucking movie that had an ice truck fall in Lake Winnipeg. I really don't remember much of that movie. I fell asleep through it, but there is a movie that has Liam Neeson in it about Winnipeg. So little things like that. If there's a film being filmed in Winnipeg, they should be trying to get tickets to the celebrities of that movie. Big or small, you want to be building a fan base, and I think in order to get American fans wanting to check out Winnipeg, it'd be a great thing for Tourism Manitoba, be a great thing for Winnipeg itself, and be an amazing thing for the Jets. So come on, guys, start using your noggins if you're looking for for big name fans. And I understand Crappie and Dancing Gabe are fans, but they were fans who became famous for being fans and being unique fans. So love them. And Jesse Pollock, again, I'm kind of whatever about that guy, but he works for TSN, so does he really count as a famous fan? No, not at all. All right, going back to an NHL topic. John Tortorella telling McDavid to shut up about not having calls called on him. John Tortorella, this is a garbage idea from you. Bad take, cold take, don't like it. Why should you say that Connor McDavid, the best player on the planet, you can't even argue with me, is complaining about being tripped, boarded, hooked, etc., etc., etc. Zero calls called on the guy. The last I had seen a stat on it was McDavid was 157th, I believe, or 154th overall on penalties taken, or penalties given out because of an infraction. I'm bad explaining this, but long and short, McDavid hasn't drawn that many penalties. He's 150-something. If you watch a game with McDavid, even if you go back to the playoffs last season, you watched, I think it was DeMello or Pionk take McDavid out of the knees. What? And it was no call. And then, moments later, happens to Logan Stanley. Archibald takes out Logan Stanley at the knees. Penalty called. Right call. And Tortorella telling McDavid to shut up, be grittier, block more shots. That's a garbage call. McDavid should not have to change his playing style so the refs will call calls. No, the refs need to stop game managing, and they need to call games correctly. If a team takes 18 penalties and they have 36 minutes in penalties, sucks to be them. I don't care. If it's slowing down the game, I don't care. If I have to watch 4-on-4 hockey for 38 minutes of a game, I don't care. I want to watch hockey that is properly called, and even when it comes down to the playoffs, stop calling games poorly. It's stupid, it makes no sense, and it's a bad thing for the NHL. Oh, rules don't matter in the playoffs. Makes no sense. You have to murder a guy to get a penalty in the playoffs? That's stupid. And telling the best players, Mark Scheifele has also been, how many calls have been missed on him? The Ehlers play last night where Brendan Lemieux need him. Nothing. And I'm mad. Why the hell are we not seeing NHL refs calling the stupid game? So if you work for the NHL and you happen to be close to the Refs Association, give me a call. Tell me what is wrong with calling a game correctly. Gary Bettman, you're kind of messing this one up, or whoever's running the refs organization. I think that the refs should be evaluated properly. They should be a part of pregame and postgame interviews, being asked questions about why aren't you seeing this kind of stuff, and if they're blowing games, they should be fired or sent down to the AHL, CHL, or ECHL, or down to the CHL. There it is. Sorry, I'm a little fired up about that one. Going into this week, the Jets have 3 games, 2 against the Oilers at home and home. It's the last game of the Jets' longest homestand of the season. Then they move to Edmonton, take on the Oilers again, and then the Nucks on, I think, Friday or Saturday night next week. So I'm going to say the Jets win 1 in regulation. They're going to beat the Canucks in regulation. They're going to beat the Oilers in overtime in 1 game, and they're going to lose to the Oilers in overtime. So they're going to pick up 5 out of 6 points. That's my prediction for the week. I'll explain that more in my betting articles going into this week. If you haven't read those are up at jetsnation.ca. Currently on the season, I am a grand total of 5 for 24. It's a rough start, but we're getting there. We can only get better, right? So yeah, if you want to read those, definitely check them out at jetsnation.ca. And moving on to the final part of the night, the podcast, hot and cold performers of the week, my personal favorite. The cold performer of the week. Actually, let's back up before we get to hot and cold performers. I want to talk about Kyle Connor. Still tied for 3rd in points and tied for 3rd in goals. That guy's amazing. He wins the cup. He's going to definitely be a legendary Hall of Famer. He definitely should be part of Team America for the Olympics, assuming he's not injured. And yeah, you can't say anything negative about that guy. That little red mustache he's rocking, he better rock that for the rest of the year. That guy's looking like a stud. So shout out to you, Kyle Connor. And man, anytime that guy scores, make noise about it on social media, because TSN Sportsnet, they need to be talking about him and how great of a player he is, because I don't hear enough love about Kyle Connor. All right, now really moving on to hot and cold performers of the week. My cold performer, it's Joe Rogan. And it's not the typical Joe Rogan, I'm shaming you. It's because he said he can perform oral acts on himself. Gross. I don't know why he'd brag about that. I get it, you're flexible, you work hard, dude, but you're in your 50s. Why are you trying to do that to yourself? So 0 out of 10, Joe Rogan, you are my cold performer of the week. And my hot performer of the week, scoring his first ever goal as a Winnipeg Jet, Dylan DeMello. You're a beauty. You deserve the hot performer of the week. Shout out to you, well, you're not my friend, but you're a cool dude. You play in the NHL, so big congrats on scoring your first ever NHL goal. Well, that's it for me this week on Jets Nation Radio, episode 8. Have yourself a wonderful night, my friends. Or week. Sorry, it's nighttime for me, and I'm used to doing radio things. So have yourself a great week. Be safe, be well. Make sure to rate this podcast wherever you listen. If you want to have a question for me, shoot me a message on Instagram, either at Jets Nation's Instagram, or you can shoot me a message on my Instagram or Twitter. Angus Hout is my handles. So yeah, check those out. And tell a friend, tell a dad, tell a mom, tell an auntie, tell an uncle, tell that neighbor down the street about Jets Nation Radio. Be safe and be well, my friends. I'll be back next week.